the day the patio fought back. I stepped onto my back porch to grab a delivery box and froze. My patio hand-built, sealed with weatherproof stain, and anchored to my house was overrun with strangers. Folding chairs were lined up in rows, a floral arch swayed in the breeze, and a sound system blared as a man in a tuxedo practiced vows. A woman in a glittering dress shouted at caterers wheeling in trays of appetizers. For a moment, I thought I'd stumbled into a reality show or, worse, some bizarre afterlife prank. Then I saw her, Margaret, the HOA president, self-proclaimed ruler of the neighborhood, standing by my grill as if she owned it. This wasn't a mistake. This was a wedding, and Margaret had turned my private patio into her niece's ceremony stage. What she didn't know was that I'd installed a hydraulic tilt mechanism beneath the deck, a silent, motorized marvel that could send every guest, cake, and ego sliding when the time was right. It started innocently enough. For weeks, Margaret had been oddly friendly, a stark contrast to her usual clipboard-wielding tyranny. She dropped off a loaf of zucchini bread, complimented my rose bushes, and flashed a smile that showed too many teeth. I thought she'd joined a self-help group or was on new meds. But Nosh was scheming. When she casually asked if I'd be out of town, I mentioned a possible overnight work trip. That was her opening. Days later, I found a measuring tape on my patio and a chalk line drawn across it. I brushed it off as kids' mischief until a man in a suit knocked, asking if Mrs. Margaret had approved the seating chart. I slammed the door, pulled up my property deed, and confirmed what I already knew. My patio was 100% mine, built with permits, well within my lot. Margaret's claim that it was community space was pure fiction. By the morning of the wedding, my backyard was a circus. Caterers tapped into my outdoor outlet, draining my electricity. Fairy lights were zip-tied to my garden posts, crushing the lavender I'd planted for my late mother. Margaret waved off my questions with a smug, "It's for my niece's big day. You're not home anyway." She cited a non-existent HOA clause about shared enjoyment of outdoor spaces. I could have called the cops, but something else stirred in me, not just anger, but a memory. A year ago, after Margaret blocked my driveway for an HOA charity walk, I'd had enough. I'd installed the tilt mechanism as a private joke, never expecting to use it. Now, as I watched her direct a wedding planner like a general, I knew the moment had come. I slipped inside, checked my security cameras, and pulled up the tilt controls on my laptop. The footage showed Margaret orchestrating the setup, oblivious to the cameras in every corner. I haven't acted yet. I wanted the stage set, guests seated, champagne poured, cake unveiled. I even prepped my drone, dormant for months, to capture the chaos from above. By noon, the invasion escalated. A catering truck tore ruts in my lawn. A DJ set up speakers that shook my windows. A goat, wearing a flower crown chewed my garden hose. Margaret had the nerve to put a sign out front, "Private wedding in progress. Please respect the celebration." She barricaded my driveway with streamers and ivy, as if my home were a public park. My neighbor, Tom, peeked over the fence, coffee mug in hand. "You renting your patio now?" he smirked. "Apparently," I muttered, but the guest forgot the deposit. Tom offered to call someone, but I shook my head. This was personal. Margaret handed me a laminated schedule, claiming I'd verbally agreed to stay inside. I stared at her. "You realize this is my house, right?" She laughed, citing a new HOA amendment she'd slipped under my door, a typo-riddled packet I'd tossed in the compost. Her delusion was Olympic level. By afternoon, the wedding planner asked me to stay indoors from 4 to 7 p.m. for clean audio. I smiled. Wouldn't dream of ruining the moment. Meanwhile, I calibrated the drone and checked the tilt mechanism. The real system was hidden. A decoy panel under the deck fooled anyone snooping. Margaret had tried loosening bolts, thinking she could sabotage it. She was in over her head. The wedding day dawned like a battlefield. By 8 a.m., teens fumbled with chairs, a man battled sagging drapes, and the goat ate my welcome mat. A luxury caterer unloaded silver trays and an ice swan. Margaret, in a cream pantsuit and oversized hat, strutted like royalty. The cake, 3 tiers of fondant and pearls, sat on a glass table at the deck center. By noon, guests arrived in SUVs and a stretch limo. The bride, Emily, emerged in a ruffled gown, hugging Margaret and squealing, "It's perfect." I launched the drone, its feed streaming to my server. The fire marshal showed up after a tip about unpermitted setups. Margaret tried to charm him with cake. He was allergic. He issued a warning and left her fuming. As the ceremony began, I stood behind my blinds, remote in hand. The bride walked the aisle, guests rose, and Margaret beamed, phone out to capture her triumph. A feedback squeal from the DJ's mic broke the spell. Margaret hissed at him to fix it, oblivious to the tangled cords near my sprinklers. She took the mic, preaching about love and community, calling my patio a symbol of unity. My finger hovered over the button. The bride's vows mentioned meeting at Margaret's HOA mixer. A gust blew Margaret's head into the koi pond, sparking gasps. That was my cue. I pressed the button. The deck tilted silently, a slow 15-degree shift. Champagne bottles rolled. Plates slid. The cake wobbled, then launched into the pond with a splash. Screams erupted. Guests slipped, grabbing flutes and gift boxes. The DJ's laptop crashed. Emily's dress caught on a chair, dragging her forward. The groom slipped on wine, knocking over candles. The goat, now free, trotted across the chaos, leaving hoofprints on tablecloths. Margaret shrieked my name, storming toward me as her heels sank. I stepped out, feigning concern. Is the deck uneven? It's an accessibility feature, maybe too many people triggered it. She accused me of sabotage, but the HOA board, arriving mid-chaos, wasn't buying it. They grilled Margaret. She'd spent $4,000 of HOA funds, forged permissions, and lied about board approval. In a drenched, mascara-streaked panic, she claimed it was a communal investment. The board voted her out on the spot. She collapsed into a chair that slid off the deck, dumping her onto the lawn. I walked inside, drone still recording. That night, I edited a highlight reel. The cake's flight, the goat's escape, Margaret's scream. Karen left town 2 weeks later, her house unsold, her reputation in tatters. Emily and her groom dropped a lawsuit threat after my lawyer sent proof of trespassing. The koi survived, the goat found a home, and my patio stood proud. I uploaded the footage online, titled, HOA Tyrant Throws Illegal Wedding on My Patio, Gets Instant Karma. It went viral, spawning memes and a local news segment. A production company licensed it for a documentary on neighborhood disputes. I resealed the patio, added lights, and painted a compass where the cake once stood. A sign now reads, Warning, tilts when provoked. Visitors ask if it's real. I smile. Very real, and very loud. The neighborhood's quieter now. HOA meetings are civil, and people smile more. Margaret's downfall taught me that silence and strategy trump shouting. All she needed was to ask. Instead, she chose control, and my patio answered back. What do you think? Was I justified, or did I go too far? Share your thoughts below, especially on dealing with injustice or bullies in your life. Let's hear your stance.